We tell ourselves stories in order to live. This is not my original line. This is from my beloved Joan Didion, an author who's had such a deep impact on me. But this is a very, very, very important line that I have held on to and tried to understand how the stories I tell myself have been impacting me. So we tell ourselves stories in order to live. We have to tell ourselves stories in order to live. What are the stories that we are telling ourselves? What are the assumptions that we are making? What we speak to ourselves about ourselves, and what we speak to others about ourselves and about them. What is the narrative that's going on in our head? That is very important. I recently realized that I'm a person who wants to look at the good in people. And especially in situations where I feel my boundaries are being crossed, where I feel I'm being triggered, where I feel I'm being intruded in things that I don't like anyone, not even my own mother who has given me birth, to come and say anything to me, to come and try to tell me what I should do. In those situations, I try really hard to look at the good in people. I think that is a good quality, right? You want to look at the good in people. That is a really good quality. But how are you actually managing that? On one hand, something is happening, one person, two person, many people, an environment, a situation, a circumstance is making you feel like it's making you feel very catabolic emotions. It's making you feel judged. It's making you feel angry. It's making you feel frustrated. It's making you feel small. It's making you feel diminished. And it does not matter who it is coming from, whether it's a friend, whether it's your own mother, whether it's your own partner, whether it's your husband, whether it's your child. This is a very human, this is a very real human thing to go through. There is going to be outside forces which are going to make you feel small. However, we are social beings and we live in a social environment where we have to learn to balance, and nobody teaches us that in school. Does anyone teach us how to balance life? Nobody does. Life teaches us how to balance. So part of balancing is that you are either going to make excuses for people because you want to see the good in them, because there is good in every single one of us, or you're going to learn to give them grace. And what is the difference between these two? When you're making excuses for someone's actions, behaviors, words, the emotions that they invoke in you, that energy that you feel, how suddenly your energy dips because that person has maybe pushed a boundary, or maybe tried to make you aware of something you're not ready to become aware of, or maybe judged you, questioned you on things that you do not like to be judged or questioned on. So when that happens, you're going to do one of the two things. If you're trying to make excuses for them and tell yourself, no, they're really good people, no, that is a very good person, no, that is my mother, no, that's my husband, how can I be questioning them, how can I be angry, how can I tell them that it's a boundary that's being crossed? No, they love me, so because they love me, I should tolerate this. You're tolerating it. That's tolerating something that deep down you're not okay to tolerate, irrespective of what relationship it is. When you give them grace, then you're trying to look at their humanity. You're allowing yourself to have the space that my boundary has been crossed. I am not okay with this, but how do I want to deal with it? It's a journey. It's something I am learning as well. I have done this many times in the past. I have done it naturally. I would have done it consciously. I'm learning to do it more consciously now. So not every person is going to understand where you're coming from, who you are, what you're doing, why you're doing. It also requires a high level of emotional maturity to be able to give people that grace where you don't make it about yourself. I am culprit of making things about myself. I know people around me who are culprit of making things about themselves, and not everything is about us. So when we tell ourselves, this is not about me, this is not a reflection of who I am, this is not a reflection of, so when I'm giving myself that narrative that I have to make excuses for the other person's behavior, even though I'm fully aware internally that this person is crossing boundaries, there's microaggressions, there's micro boundaries that are being crossed, and whether that person is coming from a good place or a bad place, whether it is subconscious or conscious, it is making me feel these catabolic energy that is taking me away from the anabolic things that I can do with my life and with my energy. And that can be any relationship. Then I'm putting pressure on myself that I have to tolerate this because I want to keep a relationship or a friendship or something alive, because things need to continue to be the same way. We are told that we have to nod our heads and we have to agree with things the way they are, and we just have to keep our friendships and relationships going. And even though we might have outgrown or evolved, from each other, when we learn to give them grace, then we are understanding that they are at the stage in their journey which they are at, you are at a stage in your journey which you are at, and at the moment this person does not understand where you are and where you're coming from. And when it's as simple as that, there is no need to first of all make excuses, and to secondly feel that you've been wronged, because that person does not know you the way you know yourself. And that really does apply to your own mother as well. And oh my god, I've had countless number of times when my mother has not been able to understand me, and I have been able to tell her that you're not understanding me, you don't know me, because nobody knows you, nobody outside of you can know you the way you know yourself. And when we are able to build that pause, which is very difficult to build because it's very easy for us to react. The first thing we want to do as human beings is react. Fight or flight, survival mode. We have not been deprogrammed from what our ancestry is, how we have evolved. So giving the other person grace, I think taking that step back, that brief moment of pause, which I have learned so much through coaching, that even in my darkest moments, that pause comes in, and it's a pause that I want to build more consciously in my life, moment to moment. It's not that because you have the awareness of it, it is automatically going to happen, that you're going to suddenly become that person. But it requires work and it requires practice. But building that pause and saying to yourself, this does not require my energy, this does not require my patience, and this does not require my explanation. There is no excuses I need to make for this person. This person is clearly crossing my boundaries. This situation is clearly stressing me out. This job is clearly not serving my purpose. This place is clearly not making me happy. Being able to say those things to ourselves and then give ourselves grace first, that we are in that situation, in that circumstance, in that hardship, and then give the other person grace that they are coming from where they are coming from, which is completely different life, completely different circumstances, completely different upbringings, completely different value systems, completely different purpose in life. And there's not going to be alignment, and that is okay. And just building that grace lets us look at the humanity in them, but first it lets us look at the humanity in us. Then it is not pressure. And it's something I'm learning the hard way. So it's not something that has come easy to me. Yeah, I think the journey is to build that pause, to build that grace, moment to moment, so the love and compassion in our heart increases. It is very easy to become a victim, and it's very easy to tell ourselves that we are a victim. It's very easy to fall for that narrative in our head, that story that we tell ourselves. I have done it countless number of times in life. I think every time I do it, I wake up stronger and more aware of what I'm doing. How can I try to unlearn that? How can I try to build some measures, some habits, some micro pauses that will help me unlearn this habit? Because neither one of us are dependent on anyone else except for Allah and what Allah sends and provides us. And every one of us is an instrument, and it's a journey. And that journey and that instrument means that not every single instrument is at the same time going to be played together to create a harmony. That does not happen. Many instruments are played in a chronology, in a sequence, where everyone has their own time to be played and plays their own role and part in our life. So not every instrument is meant to be that instrument that goes with us at every point of time in our life. And that's okay, because nonetheless, the music is beautiful and the harmony that happens is because of this time that each one of us has where we are important and where we are playing a role in someone's life. I think that is really, really helping me. I'm going to journal a little bit more around this today, but have a really busy day ahead. So hopefully, this gives you some food for thought.